Hi, guys, and welcome to Reality with Tea. Today I have some peppermint tea, and I actually don't like peppermint, but I said let me just give it a try. And now I see the bag has busted, and all the tea comes out, and that just ruins your tea. But let me see, I'm gonna give it a taste. I put a little sugar in it. Let's see. It's okay. It's okay. I would not prefer peppermint, but I figured I'd give it a try. Thank you for joining me today. So today I'm going to review Married at First Sight. That the one that came on last night. I believe this is season 11. Okay. So honestly, a lot of this episode didn't speak to me so much. So I'm just kind of breeze by some of the couples. It's only I want to get to the hater, Christina. So I'm gonna breeze through the other ones really quickly. Let's start with Woody and Amani. They talk about how she's afraid to be with him. They both are very surprised that they are so comfortable with each other, and it's making them feel a little afraid. Well, at least Amani, she feels like something's gonna go wrong. When this happens in the past, there's so much lust in the beginning. It just kind of crashes and burns. So it's like she's kind of waiting to fall off a cloud. And honestly, I can see why she feels that way with Woody because Woody seems like you see my poodle, right? I have a 4B, 4C natural hair, honey, and I got to get to it. But he seems like he's the life of the party guy, kind of the player guy. So he's saying all the right things, and it feels like it's his mission to we'll see if it still feels like his mission to bed her. So after he does bed her, is he going to change up his attitude? We'll see. That's what she's afraid of, and he kind of fits that mold. But I'm gonna give him a chance because I really do like him. So I'm hoping that he is has changed those ways. Okay, but he said he feels like he's already committed to her. We see them ride the ATVs, which looks like a lot of fun. Like it's like a huge ATV, and they have to go over like these bumpy rocks and stuff. And she's like, "I'm scared, but I'm trusting you with my life." So it was really cute. She comes back, and then there are like roses and that he set up around the room. It's very romantic. They put on bathing suits and get into the hot tub, and they start talking. I believe that's the night they actually consummated their marriage. So great for them. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, we have Karen and Miles. So we start off the episode with them. Karen is saying, things are going well. She's kind of slow a little bit, holding back. She's guarded. But, in the beginning, he tells her that he was diagnosed a few years ago with clinical depression. He takes medication. He explains the symptoms that he has. Some days he feels like he doesn't want to get out of bed. Some days he kind of wants to withdraw. He doesn't want to talk to anyone. So she's kind of taken aback, and she says to him, like, I do appreciate you telling me this. I've never dealt with anybody who had this before. My hope is that you would communicate with me, like, listen, I need some time to myself, or let me know what I can do. And so, but then she goes to the cameras and she kind of says, this is a red flag. She keeps talking about she wanted somebody a little bit more masculine and strong. And let's just be clear that just because you have a mental illness, doesn't mean that you're less masculine or you're weak and not strong. It actually, you have to be pretty strong to overcome it. So, but her thing is, I think that she feels like he's a little too emotional for her. She's used to, I guess, what would be classic alpha male masculinity type thing, and he's not that. He's kind of an empath. So I think that that's why it seems that she's not that into him. And then for him to kind of pile on, well, I have this thing where I get depressed sometimes, it's kind of to her like, oh my goodness, this is really pushing me the other way. So I want to see how if she runs from this, or if she actually is able to turn the corner and kind of come toward him, because he seems to be really into her. And so, and I think that it would really disappoint him if she kind of just checked out. But it seems she wasn't happy about that. But I do think that she's a little confused about what masculinity is. I think that she is probably usually attracted to somebody more like Woody, who is pretty forward, and he's very flirty, and he's handsy, and he's in your face, and this type of thing. And I think that that's not what she has in Miles. He's calm. He asks, can I do this? Are you comfortable with this? We're going to go at your pace. He's not really taking the lead so much. And I think that if he did a little bit more, if he kind of said, kind of stood up and said, okay, well, I'm trying to think what she would like. But if he kind of led her a little bit more and kind of took things in his hands, I think that would she would be more interested in him. But we'll see how it goes. Because I do think he's a great guy, and I think he's a lot of fun. But I can see, and I can't really articulate it at the moment, but I can see why it would kind of be slow going for her. And like, he's very nice. I don't want to hurt him, but so we'll see. So He did explain, and I'm glad that he's on TV explaining this, because people need to hear this, especially Black men, that, he has become comfortable with the diagnosis. He understands nothing is wrong with him. He went through a process to get to that point, but I'm glad that he is saying, just because he has a mental illness and he's dealing with these things doesn't mean anything's wrong with him, doesn't mean he's weak, and he's able to verbalize that. So, well, I guess the thing we would watch for is, when he does feel that way, is he going to be able to articulate? That's her biggest question. Will he be able to articulate with her in a helpful, meaningful way how he's feeling and how she's him? But she's thankful, like I said, that he's told her. They talk about intimacy at one point, and her whole thing is, I want it to happen naturally. And she says, I want to go at my own pace. It might happen eventually down the line, a week, 3 weeks, or never. And he made it clear, he was like, I don't know about never. And he's, no, but really, I don't know about never. So he's kind of, at least at some point, he's putting a boundary on it. Like, I'm not pushing you. It can be however long, but just understand this is something that I'm going to want and need at some point if we're going to remain in that relationship. So I'm glad that at some point he is starting to stand up a little bit and kind of hold her back a little bit. Like, wait a minute, I'm going to take the lead on some things, right? But I also feel like her saying, I'm going to go at my own pace, let's let things happen naturally. And I understand where she's coming from, because reminds me of Deanna from the other season. Is also that she hasn't really come around. She's not really into him. So it seems like at every step, she's kind of putting up a barrier or a reason or excuse as to why she doesn't have to be fully in it. And it might be because she's just not into him. That's what I think. It's like, oh my goodness, first he's not masculine enough. Then he has this, he's dealing with depression and the intimacy thing. I'm not ready. I've got to put up my pace. And once you start putting up those barriers, it's kind of pushing him back. So so that he has to feel like, okay, I don't want to push too much. Let me hang back. I don't want to push. Let me hang back, so that he's never really getting too close and putting her on the spot. So we'll see how this goes. I really don't, honestly, I don't think that she's into him. At least not yet. So then we have Olivia and Brett. All right. So, we start out and they're talking about the floss, and it's interesting because, he says, oh, I floss, I floss daily. And she's like, I only floss like once every week or so, and all this kind of stuff. But this is like now the second thing where he's like, okay, number one, you pee in the showers. Now you don't floss. I feel like, is he looking at her like, okay, this girl isn't as clean as I would like, Let's see. They talk about him disappearing at the bachelor party, and he said he did an Irish goodbye because he was so drunk and he didn't want to pass out and make a fool out of himself in front of everybody in the cameras, right? So we see them at the restaurant. They're eating bugs for the first time. They're experiencing that together. They talk about how much they each make, right? And I guess she makes a lot more than him. And they talk about whether he's comfortable with it, and he says, yeah, I'm comfortable with it. I'm fine. Are you comfortable with it? And she says she's fine. And they're both okay with it. And she says that she likes her vacations. She likes her wine. She likes to be able to cover her bills, and she enjoys her lifestyle. So it doesn't really matter. I guess her thing is like, if I take care of what I have to take care of, you take care of what you have to take care of. I just don't want to change my lifestyle. You know what I mean? I make this much money, but it also I'm able to live and support my lifestyle financially, and I don't want to change that. So, he says that he's used to doing without, so he doesn't need so many things. He actually doesn't travel so much. He's not really interested that much in exploring the world. His thing is, I would rather just get something, maybe get a house or whatever it is, invest in something long term. And that kind of she gives him the side eye, because her thing is like, I don't want to just get married and play house. I want somebody to explore the world with me. So it kind of seems like they have two different directions that they want to go in as far as a marriage in general. But I mean, that can change. You know what I mean? They can do both. They can, maybe with both their salaries, they can invest in something long term, and they can explore the world and travel. But I know that he wants to have kids sooner than she did, because she wasn't even so sure about having kids at all. So, that might be a point of contention for them. So we'll see. So, she's still open though. She says, there are some bumps in the road, but I still want to find out more about him. They talk about intimacy. They talk about how soon, how many times you do it a day, what's the pace and this whole thing. And he says, well, I usually do this. I usually do it on at least by the third date. And then she didn't really put a timeline on it, but she said it takes a while. So again, we'll see how this goes, right? But she says they talk about communication, and the one thing she says about, they talk about their day-to-day life, she communicates with mom every day. Some of her friends she FaceTimes every day. She's very sociable and keeps in contact with a lot of people, and he is not. This is something else that's different about them. He doesn't stay in contact with people every day. He talks to mom maybe once every couple days, every few days. So he's now thinking, are you even gonna have time for a relationship? Because you're saying you like to maybe go out to eat. She says that she enjoys going out to eat very often. She's always on FaceTime, on the phone with mom. His thing is, when do you have time for me? I guess he just he does his thing, but lives in his little bubble. Like, I don't have to see friends and as often as she does. So he's getting a little, like, he's giving her the side eye, like, well, do you even have time for a relationship? And she says, yes, like, I can fit you in, I can do all. So we'll see if she can. They talk about communication, and they got a lot done. This is a lot of progress. They talk about communication, and she says that, as long as we communicate, we should be okay. He says he doesn't get mad often, and he says that he communicates. He says that he doesn't shut down, and she said that's what frustrates her most, is that if somebody shuts down and doesn't tell them what they're upset at. And he says, he reassures her he does not shut down. He will tell you what's wrong, but it's very rare that he gets mad. So, they do get to a point, one point before then they talk about compromise, because they have all these differences. So they talk about compromise as far as time with each other, the whole thing. And then we see them, I believe they all end up together. So you have all of the men, all the women together at the bar. And at one point they separate. So you have all the men at the table and all the women at the bar getting shots. And I wish TLC was just a little bit smoother about setting all this up and then having them ask the same questions. And I don't know, it just seems so set up to me. But so we have the men sitting down, and they are asking each other, rate your marriage. So they all go around and give a rating to this marriage. And Brett comes to Brett. He says, I won't do it because it dehumanizes our partner, and it takes away from the relationship. I'm in a real relationship. I'm not going to give it a 1 to 10. Okay, fine. And Miles said, okay. He said, he told the producers, it was kind of weird, but he said, that's his business. I'm not going to push him, whatever. So the women are at the bar, and he is listening now. He's ear hustling, and he hears his wife, Olivia, give the marriage a 7. And you could tell in his face, it's like, okay, he was really hurt by that, right? So, I'm trying to figure out, I think at one point, I forgot where they were, Christina was hanging out with Olivia, and she pulls her to the side because they were all, that's what happened. They all came back together at the table, and they talked about the rating, and Christina didn't understand why Brett didn't want to rate his marriage, and he said again, it dehumanizes the relationship. And now at this point, he already heard her say that she would rate her marriage a 7. So Christina is now pushing him back. That makes no sense. Why would you not want to give a rating? This whole thing. And she's, upset about it. So she pulls Christina to the side at one point. Christina pulls Olivia to the side at one point, and she says she is noticing red flags about Brett. She has seen his relationship before. All I'm asking you to do is to keep your eyes open. And so Olivia kind of looks at her the same way I did, like, what are you noticing? What signs? Is there anything that happened that I didn't notice? No, it's just signs. It's just something. He kind of seems like an asshole. The fact that he didn't want to give a rating, that's a red flag to me. So you just need to keep your eyes open. And I'm feeling like, are you serious? You need to go back and work on your own marriage. Number one, we all met our partners the same 5 days ago, right? So why are you even giving your opinion on somebody you don't know? And Olivia said that too. She has not even been around him for more than 5 minutes. So how are you going to give me an opinion? And then I'm thinking, you're a hater, because why are you even telling this girl that? If you're not good friends with her, okay, you guys met each other a few times. So if you feel that way, keep that to yourself, because you're not allowing her the time she needs to get to know her husband, and without it being clouded by your opinion. I hate when people do that, when they have an opinion on somebody and somebody's relationship. And I could see if it was something blatant, like, listen, he texted me this or whatever it was. But you're just saying you have a feeling about this. And so even if it is nothing, you could be wrong. Now you have put the seed, you planted the seed in her head. And now she's going to be thinking, oh, is he an asshole? Is he cheating? Is he doing this and that? When it didn't even need to be, because you have nothing concrete. All you're saying is you don't like his personality, which is fine. You don't have to. He can be an asshole, but keep your mouth shut, because you have your own issues in your relationship. You and your man hardly even like each other. So that pissed me off, if you can't understand, because I just felt like you're hating, and you're it's almost like she's trying to sabotage it before she gets in there. Like, and it's so crazy that her and her husband are more concerned about this marriage, Olivia and Brett, actually, than they are each other. Because remember, Henry was talking about how bad he felt for Olivia because of Brett, and Christina's now warning Olivia about Brett. Maybe there's something there, but they need to work on each other, okay? Because this is not the time for that. All right, I'm done with that. So then that night they get home, Brett and Christina, I mean Olivia, and they start asking. She's asking him questions, and she's like, what are you excited to do when we get home? You can tell he's already checked out. He's upset, and this is about her rating him a 7. And he's giving the obvious answers. Well, I'm gonna go get coffee in the morning. I'll wake up and get breakfast. And she's annoyed, and that would annoy me too. He's just being annoying, and he's shut down. And she just kind of gets really frustrated and walks off crying. And then the next day, she says to him, he apologizes. You know what I mean? He did explain, I was upset about the rating. I feel like I put 100% into this marriage, and the rating of a 7 just kind of hurt my feelings, and I shut down. So he was able to communicate that, but it was a whole 12 hours later. But either way, she said, well, scale is relative. I'm not going to give us a perfect because we just met each other, and I'm happy. It was just what I came up with, a 7. I didn't even think about it that seriously. He said he took it too seriously. And so she does come to the conclusion that he's a little more sensitive than I thought. Okay, that was it for them. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not really hopeful for it, but we'll see. And we have Amelia and Bennett, and they were, they were fine. They're talking about, they each appreciate, Bennett appreciates the little things his ex used to do for him, and they both said they both fall easily in love. And I know Amelia has said that before, and she decides to sing him a song about it, and she's talented. I thought the song was really sweet. She has some talent. So I was feeling her on the song. She explains that she's affectionate. They talk about parenting styles, having kids in the future. She says that her parents' parenting style, they were very trusting of the world and of strangers, and that's great and everything, but you need to be careful with that because people are crazy now, and you need to watch your kids. I think I'm the opposite. I'm not trusting of anybody, so my kids are with me 24/7. But that's how she says she wants to parent her kids. And he seemed, like she said, Bennett's very agreeable. Pretty much anything he says he can go with, or he seems to make a compromise. So we'll see, and then we see them in the end. He's telling his stories about his childhood, and she's falling asleep. And then we see them brushing their teeth. I just feel like they show a lot of this couple brushing their teeth, which kind of annoys me because I don't like to see foam coming out of people's mouth. Like even in my own home, like me, like I close the door when I brush my teeth. I don't know why that bothers me, but they show us a lot of them brushing their teeth. But that's all I have on them. Now let me get to, very quickly, Henry and Christina. Okay. Christina's nasty. I don't like her. She was already an issue starting from the bachelorette party. She's nasty to production. I think at one point they must have called her Christine, and she's like quickly, Christina. And even Henry says, like, she can be very snippy with production. You know what I mean? She's very impatient with production. She's impatient in general. And I don't think he likes that about her. She's also impatient with him, as you notice. It's always like, well, I need you to be the aggressor. When are you going to make a move? Make a move, make a move. So, then you see them, like, right after that, their crew is asking them questions. And I think Henry kind of ignored it. And then she was like, are you going to ignore the question? And, she talks to him about, taking charge in the relationship. And he says he struggles with that, right? And he moves at his own pace, and he can be guarded. And she says, I'm used to men taking charge. This is the only relationship I've been in where I've been the aggressor. And I'm not comfortable with it, but I feel like I have to be because you're not giving me anything. You're not, like, standing up. You're not being the aggressor or anything. And he admits that the start relationship has just been awkward, but it's like, okay, it seems like she's pressuring him, like, make a move. So it's like, wake up, Henry. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what his relationships, if he had any in the past, have been like. But this is a strange one. So, we see them paddle boarding, and then at this time, Henry had a good time. He participated, he enjoyed it, he didn't complain. He actually excelled in the activity. He did a good job, and he liked it and said he wanted to do it again. So that impressed her, because it's like, okay, you were here, you know what I mean? You did something, you didn't complain, you weren't scared, like, I think that turned her on. Okay. But she says, she still doesn't know if he likes her because he doesn't say anything. Even the day of the wedding, there was no compliment. He doesn't compliment her. He doesn't give anything. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't even know where he stands. So when they were all sitting together, all of the men, Woody tells him, if you dig her, he said, Christina digs you. I could tell being around you that she's into you. but I don't think she knows that, which is true. But he said, you should speak up and tell her that. You know what I mean? You need to flirt a little. You need to give a compliment, you know, kind of come on to her a little bit. Because I really feel like if you were to make a move, that she would be with it. So we'll see if Henry can, you know, rise to the challenge. But, you know, they rated each other, and she rated him, I think, a 5. I think he said a 7. And, you know, it's just pretty, like, you know, it's just pretty awkward. And of course she's going to say a 5 because it's like, I don't know where we stand. You're not saying anything. Communication sucks. It's almost like you're not even there. You know what I mean? Like, it's like she has to pressure you, almost back him into the corner to get anything. And nobody wants to be in a relationship like that when you feel like you're by yourself in it. Like, I can sit here and talk to myself. I know how I feel, but shoot, you tell me something. You know what I mean? Like, you know, wake up, become a part of this. So we'll see how this goes. But as far as her personality, I don't like her. I think she is impatient, rude. I think that she is a hater. And I think that she needs to focus on what is going on in her own relationship. Because right now, your relationship is up in the air. So why are you trying to sabotage this one? And those are my thoughts on this week. So like, comment, subscribe. Leave me comments. I want to hear what you guys think. I hope to see you next week for Reality with T. Thank you.